Super Tuesday is tomorrow when 14 different states hold their primaries, and we may find out whether Bernie Sanders will cement his lead or whether Michael Bloomberg will give him a run for his money, no pun intended. This will actually be the first time that Bloomberg is even on a ballot, so it'll be a true test of his campaign. But one thing is for sure, whoever the nominee is, they will be facing off against a formidable opponent who they thought would be in jail by now instead of in the White House.
By the time we get to 2020, Donald Trump may not even be president. In fact, he may not even be a free person.
Do you agree with Congressman Adam Schiff, who's going to be the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, that President Trump could be indicted and possibly face jail time after he leaves office?
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised after all of this is said and done that some people end up in jail.
It's not out of the question that a Senate could convict on impeachment charges.
He has no idea that he's going down.
Do you think at the end of the day, if Trump chooses the country over his own family, is that a good thing? Or would you rather him vice versa?
Well, I think they're all going to end up together in prison, and maybe that's a good thing.
Oh, my God.
He may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
Well, like just about everything else in life, it turns out the Democrats were wrong. Almost equally embarrassing is the Washington Post's fake conservative Jennifer Rubin, who last year predicted that Bernie Sanders was yesterday's news because he faced stiff competition from Beto O'Rourke. And speaking of embarrassing, Pete Buttigieg is trying to get black people to like him, since that demographic supports him the least, and here he is, looking like a fish out of water, attending a black church, hoping to gain their support. Look at this weenie. Have you seen anyone more out of place in your entire life? But Mayo Pete, who knows the Bible better than anyone else, says that you can't be a Christian and support President Trump.
Do you think it is impossible to be a Christian and support President Trump?
I cannot find any compatibility between the way this president conducts himself and anything that I find in Scripture. Now, I guess that's my interpretation, but I think that's a lot of people's interpretation, and that interpretation deserves a voice.
Oh, Pastor Pete is interpreting Scripture for us now. Maybe you missed Leviticus chapter 20, Pete, or in the New Testament, Romans chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. Of course, he knows that he has no chance of actually becoming the president, at least this time around, and his entire campaign is just a publicity stunt, hoping to get appointed to a position within the next administration if, God forbid, President Trump were to lose. The real question is whether or not the Democrat Party is willing to steal the nomination from Bernie Sanders and give it to Michael Bloomberg at the convention, even if he has fewer delegates. I'm sure you've been hearing about the plurality of delegates, which means a candidate that has the most delegates out of the group of candidates, but doesn't have the majority, or over 50% of them. If Bernie Sanders makes it to the convention in July with a plurality of delegates, but not the majority, then a brokered convention could happen. The New York Times is reporting that the Democrat leaders are willing to risk the enormous backlash in order to stop Bolshevik Bernie. And according to this calculation by NBC News, Bloomberg is spending almost $100 a second on ads. If the superdelegates can't hand the election to Bloomberg, Barack Obama will probably just join the Trump train. Can you imagine Obama actually endorsing Bernie Sanders? Or Hillary Clinton, after she recently said this about him?
In a new documentary about her life, Clinton says in Congress nobody likes Sanders. She dismisses him as a career politician and adds, "It's all just baloney, and I feel so bad that people got sucked into it."
Or Michael Bloomberg using his billions to support Bernie after he said this at one of the debates?
Would you support what Senator Sanders is proposing?
Absolutely not. I can't think of ways that would make it easier for Donald Trump to get reelected than listening to this conversation. It's ridiculous. We're not going to throw out capitalism. We tried that. Other countries tried that. It was called communism, and it just didn't work.
So let me make a proposal that will work.
Quite a predicament the Democrats have gotten themselves into, and possibly the only way out would be for Bernie Sanders to pick Oprah Winfrey as his running mate, and I wouldn't put it past him. I, of course, will be voting for President Trump because, unlike liberals, I have a brain. Which reminds me, I do have this awesome liberal versus conservative shirt in my online store at markdice.com, which breaks down the differences between the left and the right down to their basic points. And like all of my designs, it's available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check it out.